Hello, lovely people. It's lovely to be back with you again. My name is Chrissy, and this is the Stitch Together podcast. All my details for contact are available at the website where this video is situated. The website is www.stitchtogether.co.uk, and if you click on the podcast button at the top of the menu bar across the top of the page, that'll take you right back to where you need to be, and you can click on and subscribe to that using either iTunes or another, I think it's a feed reader. You can do that. Also, you should, I think, fingers crossed, be able to watch this on YouTube, where you can subscribe to my video channel, which should tell you when I've posted new episodes. I've decided to carry on doing the video podcast because it seems to have been fairly favourably received. I've set up the iTunes account, so you should get whatever kind of podcast I post into that feed. It will, if ever I do audio podcasts, it'll appear there. If ever I do video podcasts, it'll appear there. So people who want to download in the iTunes program, you can do that and watch that offline, or you can stream it on the blog and on YouTube. So I hope that explains everything. I was really touched by all the kind of messages I got about doing the video podcast. I really enjoyed doing it. I didn't think I would, but I did. It was fun. I enjoyed it a lot, and it didn't take much editing at all, which I was really pleased about, and I kept the show notes to a bare minimum. So I'm kind of doing this again because it is taking a lot less effort, and I'm really enjoying talking to you, and I feel that more people are reaching out to talk to me doing video podcasts than on the audio podcasts. And the main reason I started doing podcasts was because I wanted to communicate with other people in the crafting community. And by communicating, I mean I would like people to talk back to me, because I spend a lot of time on my own at home. I don't go to an office job. I don't have children where I'd be meeting other parents sort of when the kids play together. I don't really meet many new people, and doing the podcasting has introduced me to so many amazing people. The online crafting community it overwhelms me with how generous and friendly and helpful everybody is. But it's better for me if people talk back. It's just really nice to communicate with people. You can do that in all sorts of ways. You can either go to the Ravelry group, which is down as Stitch Together Designs. I love talking to people in the Ravelry group, because when I post an episode and people watch the episode, they can come and chat in the episode thread and sort of talk about what I might have said and whether they've got opinions on it, and good conversations flow from that. I really enjoy that. There's also Twitter, there's the blog that the podcast is on, there's Google+. I don't go on there a lot, however, I do get a message when somebody posts anything, or plus ones or whatever on there, so I'm quite happy to join in conversations on there. There's the Facebook page. I know there's been a bit of hoo-ha about Facebook pages recently. I do apologise for that. That's terrible. I normally forget. I normally remember to turn off the sound. It's not like me. Never mind. I'm sorry about that. My apologies. I've forgotten what I was talking about now. Yes, the Facebook page. There was a post recently, and it's been shared on nitty.com about Facebook kind of burying pages, the stuff that pages are posting to their feed. and it's very hard for people to actually get to see your stuff unless you click on like buttons or comment on posts. You probably won't see very much from my Facebook feed. Most of the stuff that goes on there goes onto Twitter. A lot of the stuff that goes on there is either just telling you when I've posted a blog, when I've posted a podcast, that gets posted onto Twitter. I quite often put stuff on Instagram as well. So you shouldn't really be missing anything out. But if you do want to see things in your Facebook feed from me, you really need to go and like a few things from my Facebook feed, and that way you should get to see more of my stuff in your feed. It's a ridiculous thing that Facebook has done. They've basically made it impossible for organisations and small businesses to actually reach the people they want to reach unless they're prepared to pay for it. I'm not paying for it. This is a podcast. It's a blog. It's not a business. So I can't afford to do that. So I'm not going to. But I'll put a link in the show notes to that article that was written. I can't remember who wrote the original post. I think it was Space Cadet Creations. Anyway, Nitty linked to the Space Cadet Creations blog post about this, and they crashed Space Cadet Creations server because so many people were going looking at it and were interested. So they reposted it on their own server. So if you're interested, I'll put the link to that article in the show notes. I think that is most of the introduction done and out of the way. I really would love to hear from you about the podcast. Anything you want to talk about, anything you want to say, please reach out. I'm more than happy to chat to people. In fact, I really want to chat to people. I'm sorry if that comes across as needy, but I do, because I get lonely. The cat doesn't talk back very often, and if she does, it's usually in cat. Somebody actually put on the episode thread on the Ravelry boards last week that they'd like to see the cat. Not going to happen. She's so antisocial. The only time she ever appears is when she wants something, which usually involves food, treats, and being let out. She's just really antisocial. It's really, really rare for her to hang around enough for me to actually get a photo of her, let alone a video. I might post a photo if I can find one, but you're probably not going to see the cat. She's a bit grumpy anyway. But moving on, we finished a craft along. We finished at the end of August. It lasted for 2 months, and it was the Where I Live craft along, and I really, really enjoyed it. I didn't actually do my own project, and I am deeply, deeply ashamed of that. But the reason I did the craft along was because I wanted to be nosy, and I wanted to hear all about where you live. And people were great about that. They posted in the chat thread, and even if they didn't finish projects, I still learned a lot about where all my viewers, listeners, podcast, blog readers, where they all come from, and it's been absolutely fascinating. And if you're nosy like me, I suggest you go and look at the chat thread. I also suggest you go and look at the finished objects thread, because there were some really lovely projects in there. And in fact, there were 2 designs created during the craft along because they were inspired by the subject matter, and I'm really, really happy about that. In fact, one of the people who donated a prize was Louise Tilbrook, and she's a pattern designer. She mainly does socks, but the thing that she designed, the pattern she designed for Where I Live craft along, was a shawl, and it's beautiful, and she's now released that pattern. So I'll put a link in the show notes. Really go and have a look. It's really beautiful. It's a sock yarn shawl, and it's really pretty, and I'm really pleased Louise is doing shawls now. It's really good to see, because her socks are beautiful. But yeah, she's donated one of the prizes, and I'll get to that in a minute. I did a list of all of the people who posted in the finished object thread, and I put them in order they appeared in the finished object thread, and I numbered them. And then I went to the blog post that I did, which listed all of the prizes. And again, I'll put a link in the show notes if you're interested. And then what I did was I drew prizes with the random.org and matched them up in that order. So it's quite nice actually doing the video podcast, because I can show you all the really great prizes. And I really wanted to show them off because some of them are beautiful. Well, they're all great. But it's hard to convey on an audio podcast how great they are. So I think we shall start with prize number 1, which was, again, with the leaning. I thought I'd managed to deal with this problem, but obviously not, because I've not got it set up properly. Okay, the first prize is the Baby Long Legs sock yarn. I get all confused about directions. You know, everyone, you laugh at all the podcasters who say that, and you'd think you'd know by now, but no, it's really hard to do because it's just backwards. And this yarn it's merino sock, and it's 100% superwash merino, and there is 400 meters or 435 yards, and the colorway is Purple's Playtime. I really love Baby Long Legs stuff. She's a local dyer, and actually she's one of the first indie dyers I ever came across, because one of her friends belonged to my knitting group at the time, and I saw her knitting with the yarn and was like, oh, that's amazing, because her colours are really beautiful and saturated and vivid and fun, and this is really nice. It's really bouncy and squishy. And the person who won this yarn is Bare Blue Skin. So get in touch with me, give me your postal address, and I'll get that off to you as soon as possible. So that's first prize down. The second prize down is Yummy Yarns sock yarn. Now this is in a plastic bag which is coming to bits because it's been in my stash for a couple of years, but that was inside another plastic bag which wasn't coming to bits. The only reason I kept it in this plastic bag is because it's got the details on the front. And there you go. I shall take it out now so you can see it. Isn't that pretty? Colours are a bit, I think that's a bit more true to life, closer up, but it's not greatly in focus, but it's really nice, bouncy. I think it's a 2-ply. Yeah, it's a 2-ply yarn, and it's called Yummy Yarns UK Titian High Twist, which is 20% superwash merino and 20% nylon fingering, and there's approximately 365 meters in that, and it's 100 grams, and the colorway is Sierra. I'm quite loath to part with this because it's a different sort of colours from ones I would normally go for, but it was one of the local-ish dyers that I had. She's based in Leicestershire, and I really, again, it's a dyer who I do rate quite highly. And this and the Baby Long Legs yarn were both from my stash. They weren't donated, they were paid for out of my pocket, but I wanted to share with you some of the really amazing talent we have in Leicestershire, because both of them are from Leicestershire rather than Leicester, and I think they're both really good examples of what is being produced locally to me. And the winner of that is Jilly Run 1. So again, get in touch with me, give me a PM on Ravelry, and I'll try and get that off to you as soon as possible. The next prize is the Louise Tilbrook pattern. Basically, you can choose whichever pattern you want, and Louise will give it to you on Ravelry, so you have it in your library. And there are some really nice patterns. Go and have a look. Even if you don't win, go and have a look at her patterns, because her sock patterns really are gorgeous, and she's done a couple of free patterns as well, which are really worth looking at. And the winner of that is Kessa Ann Lynn, which I'm really pleased about, because it was a really beautiful project that Kessa Ann Lynn put in the finished objects thread. Again, go and look at it, it's beautiful. It's a traditional christening robe that she's kind of amalgamated patterns, and really essentially it's a design that she did herself for her future baby, which is currently being grown. And I've known Kessa Ann Lynn for quite a few years now. She's somebody whose blog I've read for a long time, and we have commented for years on each other's blogs, and it's so nice to see her being a part of this new community. And congratulations, Kessa Ann Lynn. Get in touch with me and tell me which pattern you want of Louise Tilbrook's, and I'll get in touch with Louise for you and she'll gift it to you. The fourth prize has been donated by Fondant Fibre. You know how much I love Deb. And this beautiful bag, can't get it all in because it's so big. This lovely bag is your prize if you win this prize, and it's got nice and deep, and it's got this really cute little stitch marker. Can you see it? No, because it's trying to focus on the face. There are pictures anyway. It's a beautifully made bag. It's, you know, really nicely stitched. It's interface, it's nice and stiff. And I shall fold it back up again. So the winner will get it. Look, it's nice. I kept it clean for you. Kept it all nicely stored. So there's that bag, which is nice and tall. So I use her tall bags for spinning with a spindle. It's deep enough to hold, you know, easily hold 100 grams of fibre and a spindle. So, but that's only part of the prize. The second part of the prize are these amazing Rolex. That's hard to, that's the colour. Yeah, there you go. Now, it's hand-dyed organic merino with silk, and it's 100 grams, and the colourway is Dales. And Deb from the Fibre did these especially for this craft along, because she was inspired by her locale, which is in the High Peaks of Derbyshire, and it's the Peak District in Derbyshire is beautiful. It's stunning scenery with hills, you know, they're, I don't know if you call them mountains. I think they're more hills, very big hills. But there's really beautiful walks. A lot of people go there on walking holidays because the views are incredible and the scenery is stunning. So this is really lovely of Deb to have done this for the craft along, and thank you, Deb. It's very, very kind and generous of you, as always. You are so kind to me personally and to the podcast community as a whole, so thank you, Deb. And the winner of this is Simoom, and I don't know if Simoom is a spinner. Now, I said in the prize thread about offering, if you are not a spinner, I will give it a go and spin them for you if you would like me to. Alternatively, you could always start spinning. Let me know. I'm not a brilliant spinner. I can spin something that's usable, but I can't guarantee you what weight it'll be or what the yardage will be. If you say, can I have a 2-ply or a 3-ply in construction, you'll get that. That's about as much as I can promise you. Get in touch and let me know what you want to do. I really hope you're a spinner, because these Rolags are just so beautifully prepared, and I really, really wish other people could spin these Rolags because I love them. I'm definitely hooked on Rolags and Poonies, and Deb really does charge incredibly reasonable prices for her products because so much labour goes into them, and they're really reasonable considering the labour that goes into them and the materials. So Simone, please get in touch with me. Let me know what you want, whether you are more than delighted to take these beautiful Rolags or whether you want me to have a go at spinning them for you. I can't promise it'll be good. It's pretty usable, most of the stuff I'm getting now, but it's a risk you have to take. So let me know what you want to do. So I'm going to put that straight away. I'm going to put that back in a bag because I don't want the fabric of that bag to get soiled. So I'm very excited about that price. You might be able to see. And finally, the final prize. This is a stunning prize. This was very kindly donated by a viewer. Actually, it was donated by a listener who I hope is now a viewer. I really do hope you are. And she sent me a huge bag of yarn from her own amazing stash. This is somebody I actually knew before I started podcasting. I was a friend on Ravelry because I just loved her stuff. It was just beautiful, and I just friended her and followed her because I just wanted to see all her stuff. And she's got incredible taste. And the prize I chose out of this enormous bag for you, lucky people, is two skeins of posh yarn. Isn't that lovely? It's a bit warmer than that. Yeah, it's sort of more browny than that. I don't know why it's not. There we go. I am a big fan of posh yarn, which you already know. So I was quite jealous of this getting given to you guys, but I sacrificed my own for you. This yarn is Sadie lace, and Sadie lace is beautiful. It's a 50% merino, a 50% tencel, which is why you get that lovely gleam. And the tencel will make it really nice and drapey and reasonably strong as well. It'll help strengthen up the merino part of it, but the merino gives it lots of nice bounce to compensate for all the drapes. It's a really nice balance of fibres. And I'm really sorry if you heard that. It was a really noisy pigeon. They come and hang out in our garden and they're really loud. And I've got the door open because it's mild today. Anyway, this yarn is 2 skeins, 800 meters or 875 yards, and they're 100 grams each. So you've got 200 grams, you've got 1600 meters, and that is a really generous amount of yardage. You could do a lot with this, and it would be, I think it would be robust enough to stand up to maybe making a featherweight or something like that. It's a really good prize, and I'm really pleased it's going to this person, which is Nulabula, because she takes part in a lot of conversations on the boards, and I'm always delighted when it's somebody I've spoken to who wins prizes. So congratulations, Nulabula, get in touch with me. Don't think I've got your address. I can't remember if I've sent you anything in the past, but get in touch and give me your address so I can send this to you. I am sure you're going to love it. So again, I'm going to put this straight away because I don't want it to get caught on anything, because lace weight's not as robust as the sock yarn. So that is the results of the Where I Live craft along, and thank you so much to everyone who took part and joined in with all the conversations. It's been really good fun, and I'm thinking about doing another craft along of some sort in the near future. let me know if you have any thoughts. I'm sort of just mulling around some ideas. There's nothing that's inspiring me at the moment to do a craft along about, if you see what I mean. I don't want to just pull something out of thin air. I really want it to be something that inspires me and hopefully will inspire you. So I shall leave that for now. I guess I should maybe talk about some of the stuff I've finished. You know, I said I had that big pile of blocking to do. I've put my first item off that pile onto the blocking board. It's not dry yet. I'm sorry, I wanted to show it to you, it's lovely. But it's on the blocking board. But I have another 3 things to do, one of which is the cool clavicle cover by Megan Williams, which I showed you in the last episode. I've actually finished that. It's cast off and it's waiting to be blocked, and when it's blocked I will show you as a properly finished object, because at the moment it's a bit of a scrunched up mess. So it will come. It might be in an episode or 2's time, but it will come. The other item I have finished is some handspun yarn, and that's a pretty good approximation of the colours. And this you saw in the last episode as it was waiting to be finished applying. Da, 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 da. Lovely, lovely yarn. Really pleased with this. This is the organic merino in the inked colourway. I think I said it was the ink colourway last time, but it's not, it's the inked colourway. And this was fondant fibre, and I spun it worsted, and it's a 2-ply. I pre-drafted this. I actually quite enjoyed making all these little fluffy nests to spin. It was good. It was quite therapeutic doing all the drafting first and then just zooming through those little nests. It also sort of made it much more random, because I was just pulling my hand into the bag and pulling something out and spinning it next. So what I've actually ended up with is a sport weight, which I'm really pleased about, because sport weight patterns come up quite a lot, and it's quite hard to find sport weight yarn in the UK, and I'm really pleased that this is nice and fluffy enough to be a sport weight yarn. I've actually got 105 grams, so Deb was a little bit over generous with her fibre, thank you Deb, and the meterage is 289 meters, which is more than enough to do something really good with. I have no idea what I'm going to do with it, but I think it would make, you know, really nice accessory of some sort, you know, hat, mitts, cowl, because it's incredibly soft, really, really lovely soft fibre, but it's got all this bounce, because like I told you, it's got sort of more substance to it than a lot of merino does. It's got a bit more body, and it just gives it that real full bounce. Even though it's a 2-ply, it's almost as round as a 3-ply as it's. This is actually don't know if you can see. No, it's not going to focus. I've got some work to do learning how to use this camera. So I'm really, really pleased with that. It's a good yarn, and I don't know why I'm doing this, because I will mess it up royally, because I'm really bad at doing skeins, even when no one is looking. See, look at that mess. Useless at it. See, if I wasn't on camera, it would have gone all right, but look how messy that is. Never mind. By the way, can you see that? I made some little cards on moo.com, and it's these called mini cards, and you can get them with rounded corners or sharp corners, and it's really good quality cardstock, and what I did was I got the reverse printed up, so it's got, I can't because I'm leaning forward, it's quite hard for me to keep it steady. Anyway, on the reverse it's got printed fibre, dia, spinning style, gauge, meterage and skein weight. So basically all the bits of information I want to know about this particular skein of yarn when it comes to working with it. So even though it's all on Ravelry, if the internet dies tomorrow, I will know what this yarn is, because if I didn't have it on the skein I probably wouldn't have a clue. Not to mention it might be difficult to work out which yarn was which just based on a photograph. So that is my organic merino inked from Fond & Fibre. I'm really, really pleased with it. So it's always nice to have a finished skein of yarn. You sort of start thinking, oh, I could knit this and I could knit that and I could do this with it, and it sort of sets the mind racing a bit. In fact, it might be something I might do this week, is sit down with Ravelry and work out what I can make with my new skein of yarn. So that is really all I finished that I can show you, which is a bit rubbish, isn't it? But I've got some works in progress I can show you. The first of which is something I cast on this week, and it is the Vedbeck shawl, which is by Karina Westerman. And Karina is somebody I know sort of vaguely from on Twitter, and I saw, and her blog, I read her blog, that's it, 4th edition, and she designed this collection, I think it's the Doggerland collection, and I saw the shawl patterns in there and I really liked them. I thought, oh, I'll get around to doing those at some point, and sort of favorited and forgot all about it. And then the Fibre Trek podcast decided they were going to do a serendipitous cowl for this shawl. Basically they decided they liked it and wanted to do it, so it inspired me to, especially as Karina was kind enough to offer a discount as part of this, and I thought, well, I know I want to do that, so I'm gonna buy the pattern while I've got a discount, because it seems silly not to. And I decided that I wanted to use some yarn from Stash, and as the pattern is very easy to customise either larger or smaller, I pulled out some yarn that I've had for a few years, and the yarn I've got is Jameson's Spindrift. Now Jameson's are Shetland yarn producers, and I got this yarn, it was a Christmas gift from my brother and sister-in-law. We went to the Harrogate show one year and I was just basically running amok in the Jameson stand, and my sister-in-law said, well, do you want that to be your Christmas present? I was like, yeah, definitely, absolutely. I get to pick the nice pretty yarns in person and someone else pays for it. Wonderful. Anyway, I didn't find the right pattern, because the yarn I've got is, I can't find it now, can't find the order. There we go. It's Transition, and it's the sort of tealy range, and I've got, show you like that, okay, and I've got 2 skeins of each colour, and I always thought maybe I'd do a gradiating tank top or something in it, because it's definitely woolen spun wool yarn. It's got that lovely toothiness to it. I do like Shetland yarn, especially since I started spinning it. I've got a greater appreciation for it. It's got a roughness to it when you knit it, and then when you wash it and block it and wear it and use it, it becomes softer and softer and softer as time goes on, and it becomes a really magical garment or accessory. And even though it's sort of not the softest, most wonderful thing on your hands while you're working with it, there's a satisfaction to working with it, because it feels like this is something that's going to last for years. It's not going to pill as soon as you look at it. And I really, really like this yarn, and it just seemed perfect for this shawl because it's easy to customise, because I've got a bit more than is required for the pattern, but I can just add an extra pattern repeat in the body of the shawl and then do the edging. So I cast that on this week, and I've got this done so far. Really pleased with it. I'm starting with the lighter colours at the top. I'm working my way down to the dark edging, and it's a really fun pattern. It's great. It's interesting enough to make you think, especially on the setup. Once you've got the setup done, it doesn't require too much concentration. So once you understand the pattern, which is very simple, it's just you need to add extra sort of repeats of these slip stitch sections at the edges. I don't know if I'll ever get this. There's extra sections at the centre, sort of coming out from the centre spine, and then again the edges to have it going outwards. And it was really, really fun to do the setup. Had to sort of think about it quite a bit as I was setting up, and then as I began to understand it, I didn't really need to refer to the pattern very much after that. And it's really addictive. When did I set? I started this on the 8th. What date is it now? It's the 9th. I started this yesterday, and yeah, I just couldn't stop knitting it. It was so much fun, and I think I'm probably going to whiz through this shawl. It's so much fun. Go and have a look at the Fibre Trek Ravelry group, and go and have a look at the Vedbeck shawl cowl thread. There's some really beautiful versions in there. You know, people have used all sorts of yarns. Some people have used this kind of woolly toothy yarn because that's what the pattern was written for, and other people have used something really soft and squishy and sumptuous, and they look beautiful as well. So yeah, go and get some inspiration. Go and have a look at the shawl pattern. It's really good. And Karina's blog is really interesting as well, which is, I'll put the link to the show notes, but it's 4th edition. I think 4th-edition.co.uk. Like I say, go check the show notes because I'll pop it in there. So I'm really, really enjoying that project. Next on my list is something you might recognise from last week. You know the Ricky hat? Frogged it and cast on straight away something else with the same yarn, because I love this yarn and I really, really wanted to use it. I just, once I'd knit with it and sort of played with it, I just really, really wanted it in an accessory that would make it shine, and I felt that the Ricky hat was going to stretch really quickly and just stretch out of all shape, and it was going to pill and it just wouldn't have looked as good. So instead I have knit it into a honey cowl. That's where that line is where the pattern changes, marks the ends of the row. But the honey cowl is a free pattern, and I think it was from Pearl Soho, but the pattern was designed by Antonia Shankland, and I've actually done this pattern before. I did it in a sport weight, the Skein merino silk sport, and I love that cowl so much. It's beautiful, and I think that this stitch pattern, because it's a sort of slit, you carry yarn across the front of a stitch on alternate rows and then alternate where it's slipped. Go and have a look at the pattern. It's really straightforward. and it's a really good pattern for showing off subtleties of colour changes. It's hard to know if you can see it properly on this camera, especially when it's all been edited and converted and uploaded and all the rest of it. But it's a beautiful texture, and I'm hoping that it will give it a bit more stability. It won't slouch all over the place as much, because it's almost like the slip stitch is pulling it in a bit tighter, and it's going to be so warm with that alpaca in it, and I think it'll be a bit more robust as a cowl in this particular stitch pattern, and I don't think it's going to stretch as much, because when I pull on it like that, I'm pulling very, very gently, by the way. I don't want to stretch it out too much, but there's a resistance that wasn't in the garter stitch. So I really like the hat, but I don't think it was the right yarn for the hat, and I don't think it was the right pattern for the yarn. So hopefully I'm whizzing through this. It's a really, really quick knit, and it's really simple and straightforward, and I can do it while I'm reading, so it'll be done really quickly. So that is what I've done with the Francesca Posh yarn, and that is in a really cute bag by Daisy Bun Bags, and you can get those bags at Yarndale and Harbour Yarns, which you might recognise the name of if you are a UK podcast listener. It's the new store that's been opened by Amy of Knit Spin Cake, and Daisy Bamboo Bags is Amy's mum, and she is going to be selling the bags in the shop, but they're also doing a stall at Yarndale. So if you're going, go and have a look. The bags are amazing. They're really, really good bags. They've got little pockets sewn inside, really pretty internal fabric. I'm describing this like it's an audio podcast still. How ridiculous is that? Like I say, in the bag, it's got this cute little pocket, which is the same as the external fabric, and all the seams are hidden away. It's really pretty spotty fabric. It's cute, and it's a round bag, and it's got a round bottom. Isn't that cute fabric? Bunting. It just really made me smile when I saw it on her web on Folksy. She was selling on Folksy before, which is a UK version of Etsy, and I'm trying to see. Yeah, it's just the Folksy website address on her little label, but I think she's going to be selling it exclusively in Harbour Yarns. I don't know. I can't speak for her, but go and have a look at Harbour Yarns. The website is up, but there aren't any bags on it yet. It's probably because she's trying to build up stock for Yarndale. I'm guessing. That's not necessarily a fact, but it's a really nice bag. It's really well made, and it was a very reasonable price. Right, next, I finished my socks, and I'm totally out of order with all this. You know what? There are two more things that I finished since the last podcast, and I haven't got them here, which is why I forgot them. I'll just tell you about this project, and then I'll go back and talk about the things that I should have done in the first place. The one I want to talk about is cast on some socks, because I finished my last pair of socks, and this is something I've had in stash for quite a while. It is a Regia yarn, which means it'll last forever and a day, and it's the Design Line Ombre Stripe, and the colour, which as always is the excitingly named 04484, and I think it's a calf facet colourway. He's done quite a few of the colours for Regia over the years, and this is one of them, and it's a really cute little design. So I'm actually in the middle of doing Fish Lips Kiss Heel, which is a short row. So I've got to where the foot joins the heel, and I'm part way through the first part of the Fish Lips Kiss Heel turn. It's all very exciting. And what I do with Fish Lips Kiss Heel, especially with striped yarn, because I really like keeping the stripes, especially if it's broader stripes. And I've sort of got in the habit now of taking the yarn from the other side of the skein. So I've got, as you can see, I've got two strands of yarn here connected to the sock. There's the original working yarn, which is here. No, that's the end. Oh, it's all, yeah, it's because I've just brought it out the thing. It doesn't matter. You're not interested that that's the original working yarn at all. You don't care. And then I've got the yarn I took from the outside of the ball, because normally I pull from the inside, because it just means that the ball doesn't go rattling around and it doesn't get as tangled up. So I'm knitting all of the heel with the yarn strand from the outside of the skein, and then when I finish the heel, I'll cut that yarn and continue in the original, the working yarn, and then at the end just sew those two ends in. That I've never had any problem with them sort of unraveling or anything, so that's the way I do it. And I think it looks nice, it looks neater. I mean, it looks much better if it's thick bands of colour change and you striped yarn, but I've got in the habit now, I sort of do it automatically, don't even think about it. So that's my current simple sock project. Oh, hello cat, come for some food, have you? Can't see her, can you? I wonder if I can show you her. I'm gonna regret this, I know I am. There she is. There's my cat. Say hello, Pass. Yeah, she wants feeding. She's not going to be happy about me ignoring her for however long this podcast takes. I bet. Yeah, it's cut my head off. I knew I would regret that, but there was a request made. It's just not. I'm going to cut that bit. Never going to know it happened. The next project, no, the cat is glaring at me. Never mind, she can wait. The next project is a spinning project, because I finished the one, obviously the Fondant Fibre one, and the other thing I'm spinning is the John Arbon Alpaca Supreme, which is still lopsided. Shouldn't have done that. So the Alpaca Supreme is beautiful and I really enjoy spinning it, but it's grey. And I've got 200 grams of it and I'm spinning it quite fine. So I decided that I wanted something with a bit of colour. Slightly less lopsided. Still lopsided though. And I went and had a look on my Ravelry stash and looked for one of the oldest things I had. And it's a Countess Blaze fibre, and it is 50% baby llama and 50% Tussar silk in the exotically named number 105. And look how pretty it is. So pretty. And that's pretty darn accurate. So I think the baby llama is the black and the silk is coloured, and it is so soft, really soft. And I'm fairly sure, yeah, the staple's not particularly long for the baby llama. It's quite short. So I decided to do it long draw. Now it's comb top, so it's never going to be a true woolen spun. However, I decided to spin it over the fold, and so I just sort of tore a chunk off, pulled it over my finger, just started drafting from the edge, and I'm spinning it on my Bacote spindle from Enid Ashcroft, whose update I didn't get last time. Very sad about that. And it's spinning up really nicely. It's really hard to show, but it's really soft. It's nice and light and airy and fuzzy, and I think it will be really, really lovely yarn when it's done. I am doing it as a 3-ply. That was what I decided to do. I was doing it as a 3-ply, and I'm using my cards again, my little cards that I told you about last time, and that's why I know it's a 3-ply, because that's the one that's on top. So yeah, that's, and I'm hoping it's going to be sort of, I can't remember what I wanted it to be. Let me check. I can probably tell you by putting it over. Sport weight. Want it to be a sport weight again, because I do like the weight of a sport weight. It's a nice in-betweeny weight of yarn, and we don't get to use it often enough. So that is my kind of, I want to change from spinning grey worsted, and I want to spin black and bright coloured woolen. It's, yeah, I enjoy long draw. It's really quick and it's really satisfying. My long draw control is not as good as my worsted control, but I'm getting there. And that is all I'm currently actively working on. So now I'm going to tell you about the projects that I finished that I haven't got with me. The first is the socks, which I showed you last episode, which was the kind of lime and green coloured ones, and they were used straight away because my feet were cold when they were down here waiting to be photographed, and they're in the wash. And I'm not going to show you socks that need washing because it's like cat fur and fibre stuck to them and stuff. And what I'm going to do is insert a picture here, hopefully. And really pleased with those. They're, again, nice hard wearing, nice bright cheerful colour. They fit really well. They're really comfortable. Really happy with them. They're just bog standard socks which can go in the washing machine, and I'm really happy about that. The other project I've not got is the toy that I made for my nephew, and obviously it's not here because it has gone to him. Now I haven't heard whether he's received it or not yet, but I'm hoping he has because his birthday was on Sunday. And again, I shall insert a picture here. Really pleased with it. It's an awesome monster. I showed a picture on an update on, I think it was on Instagram, and was saying I don't know what to do about the mouth, and I just kept looking. I can't see a mouth on him at all, and a couple of other people kind of agreed with me that they didn't think it needed a mouth, so it's got no mouth. But I'm really pleased with the feet in particular. The foot, which again I'll try and remember to insert a picture of here. That foot is my first attempt at turning a heel in crochet. I've never done any crochet socks. I've never done short rows in crochet, and I'm so proud of myself because I wanted it to have proper feet. So I searched the internet and looked for tutorials, and I found a video tutorial which was really clear and really helpful, and it's in my favourites on YouTube, but I'll insert a link to it in the show notes, because if you ever want to turn a heel for crochet, that's a good tutorial. So I hope other people find that as helpful as I did. I'm really pleased with it. I think it's worked out really well. I stuffed the feet and I stuffed the sort of ball-like hands, and so they're weighted, but the arms themselves and the legs themselves have not got any stuffing in, so they're very flexible. I attached the legs sort of to the front of the cylinder because I wanted it to sort of sit nicely with its legs just dangling down, so it could be sat on a windowsill or a shelf or even a bed or pillow. In fact, while I was waiting to decide whether to put a mouth on it, he was sitting up here keeping me company with his legs dangling down, and he sat really nicely, and he just sat there for days without falling off or anything. So I'm really pleased with the way it turned out, and I really hope that my nephew likes it as much as I did, because if he doesn't, I'm asking for it back. So those are my two projects that I haven't got here that I did finish. I knew I'd finished other stuff, knew it. So silly. This is what happens when you don't do show notes, you see. So I guess I should tell you what I got in the post this week. Yes, little cat? Yeah, you want feeding, don't you? I'm going to pause this. I do apologise, because otherwise she'll start scratching. She won't start scratching furniture, she'll start sort of scratching at me. So bear with me a sec. I want to show you what I got in the post this week. I've got lots of goodies. The first of which is, I went looking for a case for my Addy swing crochet hooks, because these don't fit into regular crochet hook bags. They're really chunky and really long, and I mean they're great for crocheting with because they just sort of sit in the palm of your hand, and you can put your thumb on the rest, so you can hook quite easily and comfortably for a while. So I really liked them, and I've got quite a few of them, and my crochet case was kind of exploding because it was just a cheap thing I bought on eBay when I first started trying crochet. So I decided I was going to try and track down something I could put these crochet hooks in, and I found something finally after looking in lots of places, and I found it on Folksy, and this is my case. Can't see. It's really lovely. It's got little Russian dolls and little sort of patchwork, so it's done really beautifully, and a lot of work gone into it. And it's by Cam and Doot. It's really pretty. I really like it. It's exceptionally well made. I mean, it's really sturdy. I'll take out my crochet hooks so I can show you the lining. The lining's got really cute Russian dolls. Isn't that sweet? So that's all bright and colourful inside, and outside it's kind of more subdued and tonal. And I think it's probably designed to be a pencil case because it's kind of flat and wide. So the reason I wanted this one was because it's flat and wide, so you can open it right up so you can see what crochet hooks you've got without actually having to pull everything out. You can just sort of see it in the bag. You can look, because all of these have got the numbers on. You see that? Yay. So it would be nice not to have to haul them out. So that's why I wanted something wide that would open right up, and being shallow, it doesn't need to be particularly big, being shallow is actually better. It's easier to see and easier to get access to. So that's a really, really lovely new shop that I'd not seen before. I don't know if people on Folksy will ship overseas. So if you're non-UK, I apologise. But UK people, it's a really interesting new bag maker, and that is Cam and Doot. In fact, little bag. No, it's not going to focus. I will get the hang of this. It might take a while, but I will get the hang of this camera. This is better than using the iPad. Even though the quality was really good on the iPad, this is better because I don't have to worry about the memory running out. So that's the first thing I wanted to show you. The next thing, I blame Jasmine of the Knitmore Girls, because she has been raving on about Outlander. Now, I couldn't care less about Outlander. I've never read the books. I can't see the series because it's a US series. So it's not something that has ever really... I've looked at the notes on the book on Amazon, and it just didn't appeal to me, really. I don't know why, it just didn't. So it's not something I've really been that interested in, but she posted a link to a UK dyer which said, I bought some of this because it's Outlander, but don't worry, I've left some for you. And the fool that I am, I clicked through the link. And it's hard. Yeah, that's it. That sort of green and dark blue coming through to lighter blues. It's gorgeous. Now this yarn is from Ginger Twist Studio. I can't do the focus. That's really, really bad. gingertwiststudio.com, and it's a yarn shop, and she has started dyeing some of her own yarn, and this is Sheepish sock, and it's 100 grams, 365 meters of blue flace Leicester and 20% nylon, and the colour is Je suis prêt. I don't know how that's appropriate to Outlander, but that's the name of it. The main reason I got this is kind of foolish, but it's also, I mean, apart from the colours, because they are gorgeous. I mean, they almost glow. There's certainly, you know, these greens and stuff. They're just beautiful. There's sort of depth, and yeah, it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous yarn. And I don't think I can really convey on the camera how beautiful it is, because it's really hard to show the depth and the layering of the colours, and it's just beautiful. Really nicely done, and it's a nice springy yarn. I'm a big fan of Blue Face Leicester, and it's gorgeous. But the main reason I bought this was because it was based on the colour of the Fraser clan tartan, which just so happens to be the clan tartan that I'm entitled to wear, because my mother was Scottish, and she was a branch of the Fraser clan. Her surname wasn't Fraser, but her sort of her family name was part of that clan. And when I was a kid, I had a little Fraser clan tartan little kilty thing. It wasn't a proper kilt, it was attached to a petticoat. Do you remember? Did you ever have those?